हेलो स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम लोग इलेक्ट्रिकल मशीन्स के का रिवीजन करेंगे। पुलिस कांस्टेबल के एग्ज़ाम की वजह से 6 और 7 तारीख को इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी में प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, इसीलिए ये वीडियो बना के मैं आप लोगों को भेज रहा हूँ। हमारा 95% सिलेबस हो चुका है, इसीलिए जो इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक्स है अब हम उसका रिवीजन करेंगे। उसी में से जो एक इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक है जिसका रिवीजन हमें करना चाहिए वो है आर्मेचर वाइंडिंग एंड कम्यूटेशन। ये हम लोग पहले भी पढ़ चुके हैं। इसके ब्लोन अप टॉपिक्स थे एलिमेंट्री आर्मेचर कॉयल, कम्यूटेटर, लैप एंड वेव वाइंडिंग, कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ कम्यूटेटर, लीनियर कम्यूटेशन, डेरिवेशन ऑफ बैक ईएमएफ इक्वेशन। अगर एलिमेंट्री आर्मेचर कॉयल की हम बात करें तो आपके पास दो तरह की वाइंडिंग होती है, एक आर्मेचर वाइंडिंग होती है और दूसरी फील्ड वाइंडिंग होती है। फील्ड वाइंडिंग वो वाइंडिंग होती है जिसका काम होता है नॉर्थ और साउथ पोल बनाना, और दूसरी आपके पास वाइंडिंग होती है आर्मेचर वाइंडिंग, जिससे कि आपको जनरेशन के केस में इंड्यूस्ड ईएमएफ रिसीव होता है और मोटर के केस में आप एक हाई वोल्टेज जो सर्किट होता है वो मोटर में आप सप्लाई देते हैं। अब वैसे भी देखा जाए तो आप इसको हाई वोल्टेज सर्किट और लो वोल्टेज सर्किट के तौर पे भी देख सकते हैं कि फील्ड वाइंडिंग को आप लो वोल्टेज सर्किट समझ सकते हैं और आर्मेचर वाइंडिंग को आप हाई वोल्टेज सर्किट समझ सकते हैं। नाउ फॉर राइटिंग पर्पस it is stated here that armature winding can be defined as an electrical machine in which EMF can be generated because of the air gap field flux. It must be noted that the air gap is produced because of the DC current flow in the winding. In general, this winding is housed on slots of the stator and the field winding on rotor slots. Generally, this is housed on stator slots and field winding on rotor slots. Synchronous machines, the winding is placed in the slots of rotor, whereas the field winding is placed in the slots of stator. The designing of the armature winding can be done using the copper and includes the huge number of insulated coils. These two coils may have several turns and may be connected either in series, otherwise parallel based on the required type of winding. We know that all the generators, it is based on Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and the first law states that if the conductor cuts the magnetic flux, EMF gets induced into it. So for this we need three quantities. The first thing is we need conductor or armature coil. Second thing we would require is field winding, that is flux, and the third thing we would require is relative motion between them. So with these three quantities we have two modes. In mode 1, what we can do is we can keep armature winding at a stator part and we can keep field winding at rotor part. These machines are called as synchronous machines. And the other mode is, what we do is we keep our armature winding at rotor part and the stator winding keeps field winding. So from this methodology we will get DC generator or DC machines. Actually it is very important for commutation. It is very important for commutation that armature conductors should be at rotor, because if armature winding is not rotating, we are not able to find the working of commutator, and it is commutator which converts AC into DC. It is also known as mechanical rectifier, because we know rectifiers in electrical circuits converts AC into DC, and because these commutators, what they do, they make AC into DC mechanically. That is the reason it is called as mechanical rectifier. So for commutator, the commutator is pushed on the top of the shaft, as well as it is held on by a coarse kernel similar to the core. The designing of commutator can be done using copper bars. and an insulating material will separate the bars. Normally, this material is a thermoset plastic. However, in older armatures, sheet mica has been used. The commutator has to be accurately associated by the core slots whenever pushed on the top of the shaft, because the wires from the every coil will appear from the slots as well as attach with the commutator bars. To work the magnetic circuit efficiently, it is essential that the armature coil has a precise angular displacement from the commutator bar toward which it is attached. So, in armature winding, there are two popular types of windings we use: lap winding and wave winding. In lap winding, in this type of winding, the connection of the conductors is done in such a way that their parallel poles and lanes are similar. The last part of every armature coil can be connected toward the nearby section on the commutator. The digit of brushes in this winding can be similar toward the digit of the parallel lanes, and these brushes are separated evenly into positive as well as negative polarity winding. The applications of lap winding mainly include high current, low voltage machines. Lap windings are classified into three types, which includes the following: two types. Basic types are two types: progressive and retrogressive. Here you can see from 1 it will start to another coil 2, and from 2 it will go to 3. So it is progressive. From here side we can read from 3 it start flowing. Now from 3 it goes to 2, and now from 2 it goes to 1. This is called as retrogressive. And the commutation pitch YC, it is represented by YC. It is +1 in case of progressive, and it is -1 in case of retrogressive. The three types lap winding would be simplex type lap winding, duplex type lap winding, and triplex type lap winding. In simplex type lap winding, in this kind of winding, the ending of one coil is connected to the commutator section, as well as the beginning end of the secondary coil can be arranged under a similar pole, and also the digit of parallel lanes is equal to the digit of poles of the winding. Simplex means the duplex type lap winding. In this type of winding, the digit of parallel lanes among the pole is double the digit of poles. The applications of lap winding mainly involve in huge current applications. Such kind of winding is obtained by arranging the two same windings on the similar armature, as well as linking the even number commutator bars towards the primary winding and the off number to the secondary winding. Third type है triplex type lap winding. In this type of winding, the winding are associated with the 1/3 of the bars of the commutator. This lap winding has several lanes as well as, therefore the applications of triplex type lap winding mainly involve in huge current applications. The main drawback of this winding is that it uses several conductors, which will enhance the winding cost. Obviously, when more number of conductors would be used, the cost is going to increase. Now in case of wave winding, in case of what you will see that it is commutator pitch which are going to be changed a lot in lap and wave winding, and there is a lot of constructional differences between these two lap and wave winding. So in this kind of wave winding, there are only two parallel lanes among the positive as well as negative brushes. The final end of the first armature coil is linked with the beginning end of the second armature coil commutator segment at some distance. In this kind of winding, the conductors are associated with the two parallel lanes of the machine poles, and the digit of the parallel ports is equivalent to the digit of brushes. This kind of winding is applicable for the low current high voltage machines. Actually, we know that formula for induced EMF in DC generators are Eg is equal to P phi Zn upon 60A, where A is number of parallel path. So what we used to do in numericals, for lap winding A is equal to P is number of poles, and for wave winding it is fixed that number of parallel path A would be equal to 2. So when there are fixed parallel paths, only two parallel paths in case of wave winding, and there is a parallel of paths equal to number of poles. So we know that in wave winding there would be high voltage because number of conductors would be greater in case of wave winding in series. So we know that for a single coil, the induced EMF would be equal. So if it had more number of coils in series, it would have high voltage. That is the reason wave winding is applied where low current high voltage machines applicable, and for lap winding what we used to have applications have high current and low voltage machine. Once it passing through one round, once it passing one round, then the armature winding drops into a slot towards the left side of its beginning point. So this type of winding is named as retrogressive winding. Similarly, once the winding of an armature drop on one slot toward the right, then it is named as progressive winding. If we see the construction of commutator, here it is given. A commutator consists of a set of copper segments fixed around the part of the circumference of the rotating machine or the rotor, and a set of spring-loaded brushes fixed to a stationary frame of the machine. Two or more fixed brushes connect to the external circuit, either a source of current for a motor or a load for a generator. Commutator segments are connected to the coils of the armature with the number of coils and commutator segments depending on the speed and voltage of the machine. Large motors may have hundreds of segments. Each conducting segment of the commutator is insulated from adjacent segments. Mica was used on early machines and is still used on large machines. Many other insulating materials are used to insulate smaller machines. Plastics allow quick manufacture of an insulator. For example, the segments are held onto the shaft using a dovetail shape on the edges or underside of each segment. Insulating wedges around the perimeter of each segment are placed so that the commutator maintains its mechanical stability throughout its normal operating range. Now we have the back EMF equation. When the armature of DC motor rotates, the conductors also rotate in the magnetic field. According to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, EMF is induced in the conductors whose direction, as found by Fleming's right hand rule, is in opposition to the applied voltage. Because of its opposition direction, it is referred to as back EMF, EB. Obviously, V has to drive armature current against the opposition of EMF EB. Actually, what happens is in DC generators and DC motors, there is in case of DC generator, there is a mechanical mechanical input, and what we get is electrical output. But there is a mechanical opposition there, and that mechanical opposition is called as mechanical drag or pull. Mechanical drag or pull. In case of DC motor, we used to give input as a electrical quantity, electrical input, and output power is mechanical. But we get the electrical opposition, and that electrical opposition is back EMF. And also through the help of diagrams, we have seen that how once motor or generator starts, after that we can keep motor law in generators and generator law in motor. And once we have try to understand these laws in respective um, generators and motors. We have seen that in case of motor, when we apply Fleming's right hand rule, we used to get back EMF polarity. And now here what we are going to do, we are getting EMF equation for back EMF. And the equation for back EMF and induced EMF is similar. For induced EMF, it is equal to P phi Zn upon 60A. Similarly, in this also, we have back EMF is equal to P phi Zn upon 60A. The values are same. So P is the number of poles of the machine, flux phi is the flux per pole in Webers, Z be the total number of armature conductors, N be the speed of armature in revolution per minute, A be the number of parallel paths in the armature winding, as we have said earlier. In one revolution of the armature, the flux cut by one conductor is given as flux cut by one conductor is equal to P phi Webers. Time taken to complete one revolution is given as T is equal to 60 by n seconds. Therefore, the average induced EMF in one conductor will be is equal to P phi upon T. Putting the value of T from equation 2 from here, and in the equation 3, we will get E is equal to P phi upon 60 by n. So here it is P phi n upon 60 volts. So the number of conductors connected in series in each parallel path would be Z by A. The total number of conductors are Z and the number of parallel paths is A. So the number of conductors in each parallel path is Z by A. Therefore, the average induced EMF across each parallel path, or the armature terminal is given by the equation E is equal to P phi n upon 60 into the number of conductors in each parallel path Z by A. So we get the formula P phi Zn upon 60, where n is the speed revolution per second RPS and is given by n is equal to n upon 60, and it is in RPM, rotation per minute, upon 60. For a given machine, once we have a given machine, the number of poles and the number of conductors per parallel path Z by A are constant. Hence, the number equation 5 can be written as E is equal to K phi n, where K is constant and given as K is equal to P Z upon A. Therefore, the average induced EMF equation can be written as E exactly proportional to phi n, or E is equal to K1 phi n, where K1 is the another constant, and hence induced EMF equation can be written as E is directly proportional to phi n, or Ke is directly proportional to phi omega, where omega is the angular velocity in radians per second and is represented as omega is equal to 2 pi n upon 60. Thus, it is clear that the induced EMF is directly proportional to the speed and flux per pole. The polarity of induced EMF depends upon the direction of magnetic field and the direction of rotation. If either of the two is reversed, the polarity changes. But if two are reversed, the polarity remains unchanged. This induced EMF is a fundamental phenomenon for all the DC machines, whether they are working as a generator or motor. If the DC machine is working as a generator, the induced EMF is given by the equation E is equal to, as we have discussed earlier, P phi Z upon 60A, where P is the number of poles, Z be the number of conductor, phi be the flux per pole, n is speed in RPM, 60 constant value, A number of parallel paths. If the machine is working as a motor, the induced EMF or back EMF is given by Eb is equal to P phi Zn upon 60, and the same equation applies. So these are the back EMF and lap winding and wave winding conditions. Now we will focus on now. We will also revise about armature reaction. It is also a very important topic in DC machines and RTU के एग्जाम्स में भी बहुत बार आता है. Consider no current is flowing in the armature conductors and only the field winding is energized. So what will happen? Actually, we will first discuss about armature reaction. Actually, the definition of armature reaction states that effect of armature flux on the main field flux is known as armature reaction. And armature reaction effect will be applicable when it is loaded. When the condition is it is not loaded or lightly loaded, there would be no much value of armature flux, so there would be no much effect of armature flux on the main field flux. But in case when it is loaded, armature reaction is defined as the effect of armature flux on the main field flux. So in armature reaction, consider no current is flowing in the armature conductors and only the field winding is energized. So what will happen, as shown in figure also? In this case, magnetic flux lines of the field poles are uniform and symmetrical to the polar axis. The magnetic neutral axis coincides with the geometrical neutral axis. The second figure in which we have seen that it shows armature current, field poles are de-energized. Now, when a DC machine is running, both the fluxes, flux due to armature conductors and flux due to field winding, will be present at the time. The armature flux superimposes with the main field flux and hence disrupts the main field flux. This effect is called as armature reaction in DC machines. The adverse effect of armature reaction should be armature reaction weakens the main flux. In case of DC generator, weakening of the main flux reduces the generator voltage. Also, we know that induced EMF is equal to P phi Zn upon 60A. So, when flux value is decreasing, actually there are two main adverse effects of armature reaction. First one is cross magnetization, that is distortion of the flux axis. And due to this cross magnetization, there is also a reduce in flux also happens, and that is called as demagnetization. So in demagnetization, what we will get is there is reduction in actual flux. In armature reaction, distorts the main flux, hence the position of MNA gets shifted. MNA is perpendicular to the flux lines of main field flux. Brushes should be placed on the MNA, otherwise it will lead to sparking at the surface of brushes. So due to armature reaction, it is hard to determine the exact position of MNA. MNA is magnetically neutral axis and GNA is geometrically neutral axis. Here it is also seen how these effects happens. Here it is a main field flux. It is given from north pole to south pole. Main flux are flowing. Here it is also shown, and GNA is always perpendicular to the main field flux. Here we can see GNA. It is always perpendicular to the main field flux, and magnetically neutral axis is a place where actually there is a neutral axis. So when there is only main field flux, then magnetically neutral axis coincides with the geometrical neutral axis. Now, when in the second diagram we have seen armature flux. So what happens is in north pole the polarity of these conductors are cross, and in south pole the polarity of the conductors are dot. So according to right hand grip rule, what will happen? We can get the direction of flux through these currents. So we can see through the right hand grip rule, the direction of flux would be like this, and here the direction of flux would be like this. So Now the effect of armature flux on the main field flux is known as armature reaction. So what will happen here? Here it is a north pole and here it is a south pole. So from north to south, flux lines starts flowing. From north to south, flux lines starts flowing. So when this armature flux, the effect of this armature flux are, these flux are coming outside. Now it is supporting here. From here it is just opposing. Here it is opposing and here it is supporting. So what will happen? This axis is going to shift, and shifting of this axis is called as cross magnetization. So what will happen is now the MNA would be perpendicular to the resultant axis, and that is from MNA is no longer is going to not going to coincide with GNA now. So what will happen is now cross magnetization happened, and due to this cross magnetization, what is going to happen is some conductors like between GNA and MNA from this side and this side are going to change their polarity. Now from here all these conductors are in north pole influence and all other conductors are in south pole influence. So the conductors between these two will happen. Okay, so we have some time limitations, it is shown here. Okay, we will discuss other topics another day. Thank you so much everyone.